So, this is a video for making needles spin correctly, because it is a little tricky. For demonstration purposes, I'll be using this empty prefab that I just made. It's just an empty prefab with the gauges here. And I want to move it so that this needle rests on this RPM gauge and have it spin around correctly. Before we get to work, we need to check for three things on our needle here. Number one, we need to check that we're dealing with just one singular object. So for example, if this was separated for some reason, you want to make sure that they're joined together. Second, you want to make sure that your needle here is laying down flat. So like this y-axis here, this green line in Blender, just make sure it's pointing towards that direction. It doesn't matter if it's pointing towards that way or that way, just make sure it's pointing at the green line. And third, you just want to make sure that it spins correctly. So like, click on this thing, go to local, and then press R for rotate, Z for the Z axis, and you should be able to just rotate your needle. See if it is centered in the middle, which it looks like it is. So with these three checks in mind, we can actually proceed. There's a drop-down menu here. This is your snap settings. You just need to change three things from this menu. First being the snap base, set that to the center. The target, make that the vertex. And lastly, align rotation to target, just tick that on. And to kind of visualize what's going on here, I'm going to go into wireframe mode. There is a vertex here that I can snap it to. So what I'm going to do is select my needle, press G to move it, hold down Control to turn on the snapping function. And I'm just going to move my mouse over to this vertex. And there you go. It has moved it to this vertex, and it has aligned the rotation of the needle to this gauge. Yeah. Sometimes you may not have a vertex in the middle, like this, for example. What you could do is turn this from vertex to face mode. Get your texture on, slap it on if you have it, and just kind of eyeball it where it should be. So like, G, Control, same as before, but now it's going to snap to the face. Now, unfortunately, when you bring this over into Unity, CarX will just do this instead, or even this. So there's kind of multiple solutions to this kind of problem. I'll be showing you my own, which is using empties. Let me just get this out of the way. Now, spawn in an empty. You can pick any one. I'm just going to pick single arrow because I like how it looks. Radius, I'm going to make that a bit smaller. Also doesn't matter. But what is important is that you use the same snapping settings from before. So either vertex or face. And you want to make sure that align rotation to target is ticked on. So with these settings done, you can just press G, hold down Control, and boom. You should see a perpendicular line going out of the gauge. If you can, job well done. You've done the hard part. Now just reset the position and the rotation of the needle. Yeah. So select it first, the needle, and then select the empty second, like so. You want to hold Control P, and then Object without inverse. If you've done it properly, you should be able to keep this on local. Press R for rotate, Z, and then watch it spin around correctly. If you can see that, then congratulations. You can save this into Unity. There we go. And watch it spin. Yep. Let's make this thing actually spin in the game right now, yeah? So open up the Kino GitHub page, content creation, custom car parts, custom interior, English, I guess. And if you scroll down, you should see a list of names. Now, in our use case, we need an RPM gauge. So either this or that. The digital ones, those are the ones that spin when you turn on the ignition. I'm going to stick with the normal one, so arrow RPM. I'm going to copy that, go back into Blender, and rename our object for the needle to whatever that name was. So arrow underscore RPM, then underscore the axis which you wanted to rotate on, so the Z axis, and then 3 numbers. At this point, you just need to play around with these 3 values and set the default resting position. So for that position, you can just eyeball it. 118, let me note this down. And then you want to get the maximum value at which it rotates to. So 1-119. There we go. And just get their difference. So like 118 minus negative 119. That should be 237. So we got the resting position and the maximum value. You don't need this value in the middle. And lastly, what's the maximum value it can rotate to? 9,000 RPM. So 9,000 RPM. This value goes into here. That's the default resting position. You put it straight into here. Don't apply the rotation. You don't need to do that. This value goes into the second number. And this value goes here. Let me save it. And going back into Unity. One thing that you will need to do in Unity is set anything that animates into an empty named Kino_indicators. So this thing has my needle, so I'm going to put this in here. Let's build it. And if I did it correctly, ignore the driver. There we go. Yep, it can spin. Now, if you're paying attention, you might have noticed that we've left the first value to be 0. And for RPM and speedometers, this is actually fine. You don't really need them. All that number does is tell CarX how much it can rotate backwards. So this is mostly useful for the boost gauges and the dummy gauges. So for example, here I have a boost gauge. You can kind of see here that I have it set to minus 125 degrees. So what's going to happen in game is it can rotate back by 125 degrees, like so. Actually, let me just type it in. 125, yeah, so like that. And I think that should be it for interior needles.